Welcome patrons. This is going off my normal schedule a bit, but just after seeing all of the hullabaloo about E3, it just has me excited for Dragon Age 4 again, which we will not be seeing at this E3. Stop asking, it's not happening. But anyway, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been saying that I'm going to be making a video on Dragon Age 4 news that we know, which I do still plan on doing, but this is just going to be a little bit different. This video is my personal predictions on what we could be seeing in the next game. If nothing else, this video will just be fun to look back on and see how much I got wrong. The setting. It's Tevinter. We all know it's Tevinter. The more interesting guess is, would we be seeing anywhere else? While Tevinter has enough going on in just the one nation, I think BioWare might have something planned for the other nations. If you look back on when the Red Rook book was released, it included a sheet that seemed to have character designs for factions of other nations, most notably the Navarran Mortalitasi, possible Navarran soldiers, Qunari, and Fog Warriors. We also get a peek at Grey Wardens, Antivan Crows, Deluge and Ancient Elven wear, lots of Tevinter and slave attire, and then unusual Dwarven attire. There's a lot that can go on in this game. So based on just this page, I'm thinking we might venture out to a few of the nations bordering the Imperium, like Navarra and the Anderfels, and possibly even take a look at Saharon. With this same reasoning, you could also argue for a possible visit to Kal Sharok or Antiva, but seeing as how Kal Sharok doesn't really allow visitors, and the Crows are pretty much in almost every nation, I get a feeling that perhaps we'll just be seeing representations for these factions rather than seeing them in their natural setting. Which you could argue this for the Grey Wardens as well, but from the novel The Last Fight we did learn that Griffins are coming back, and from the end of Dragon Age Inquisition there is something bad going down with the Wardens. As we have not heard of a Warden base in Tevinter, it makes the most sense to head to the Warden capital in the Anderfels. The title. This is going into a bit of a crackpot theory, but did you know that Dragon Age 2 original name was Dragon Age Exodus? So with that in mind, so far all of the subtitles of Dragon Age have started with a vowel: Origins, Exodus, and Inquisition. This is more based on the fact that I like sticking with a theme, but I hope that the next subtitle follows suit and starts with either an A or a U, maybe a Y, or maybe even they go back to E since technically they did skip it. Perhaps it could be Aftermath, as in the veil was torn down and what do we do now? Perhaps it's United, as in we have to unite against Solus. Maybe even Yearn, because it's been 4 years since the last game and I'm getting restless. It could really be anything, but I kind of hope it sticks with the theme here. The games have also had a fairly strong color associated with them. Inquisition was green, Dragon Age 2 was red, and while Origins did really have a mishmash, fans have given it the color blue to represent the Wardens, although there was also a lot of blue in the trailers. So what color will Dragon Age 4 be? Tevinter uses a lot of blacks and dark colors, so I can see black being a heavy color theme, but that's kind of boring, and BioWare has just been using a lot of bright colors as of late. So my personal hope is that it's purple, although the Red Rook book is a clue, perhaps they just repeat red again. Companions and NPCs. So far, all 3 games have companions that group into 4 categories: mage, rogues, warriors, and other. The other section has really only been used for Dog and Shale in Dragon Age Origins and haven't really been touched since, so I doubt we have any companions that fit into that category. But for the other 3, for the most part, there has been at least 3 of each. Sort of. Dragon Age 2 had 3 of each if you counted both siblings, 4 rogues if you count Talus, who was only temporary. Dragon Age Origins had 2 mages and rogues, and 4 warriors, although only 3 at a time. So how many in Dragon Age 4? I would put money on keeping with Dragon Age Inquisition's 3 of each system, as it just helps with party composition. So let's make a chart. As for who the companions will be, let's look first to the recent comic books. Knight Aaron ends with the elven thief Feya and the human warrior Sir Aaron joining the Inquisition and leaving to Tevinter, so I would honestly be shocked if they don't show up. So that fills up a warrior and a rogue slot. The other new comic, Mage Killer, ends at the same time as Inquisition, but both Tessa and Marius show up in Knight Errant, meaning that they still work for the Inquisition, as both have connections with Tevinter, and I can't see why BioWare would publish their story if they weren't going to use them later. I'm also betting they show up as well, filling in another rogue and warrior slot. At the end of Trespasser, we also see Dorian and Maevaris, who first appeared in the comics, seemingly trying to right the wrongs in Tevinter society. A lot of people have guessed that Dorian and May will then be companions, which is possible. So far, at least one previous companion shows up and again in the next game as another companion, and Dorian is really the only one to make sense out of the old lineup. But I don't think we're going to get both Dorian and May, and I kind of get the feeling that Dorian is going to be too busy with his work to go out adventuring with us. So I'm going to have Dorian and May share a spot for now, because I think we will be getting one of them, I just don't know which one. At a guess, I would lean towards May over Dorian, but I think that Dorian's going to get a spot kind of similar to the Advisors in Dragon Age Inquisition, where he doesn't go out traveling with us, but we do see him a lot. And with that, we have one empty slot for both warriors and rogues, and 2 for mages. So who will they be? There are a few guesses of old characters. Fainriel is a popular guess, as if he is not made tranquil, he goes off to Deventer, but I think there's just too many open ends for him to be a solid companion. I think he's going to be a side character at best, and a companion with not a lot going on because the amount of fates he has at worst. A while back ago, Gator hinted that he was writing a novel that involved a lot of Fenris. Sadly, the project was canned long before he left, but people have taken it to be a hint that he will show up in the next game, perhaps even as a companion. And Fenris does have a lot of interesting plot points that could happen in Deventer as he's an escaped slave. But Marius has the exact same storyline. I don't think we'd be getting both in the same party, so I say that if Fenris does show up, it's a cameo at best. While Shale did say she was going back to Deventer with Wynn, and Wynn's dead, so she's not going to show up, I don't think she will be a companion. It might have crossed their minds, but I think it would be way too expensive to have one party member with the very unique fighting animations and movesets that aren't going to be used anywhere else. At best, I think she makes a cameo. Scout Harding is also a popular choice because she's a cutie dwarf that we all want to romance, and that's really all she has going for her at the moment. And really, I think it's the most possible choice so far. The devs have talked about how they want to do a dwarven romance, and Harding would be the perfect choice for that because people already love her. At this moment, I would even go so far as to very lightly put her on my list as a rogue. Which does now mean that all the rogues are female, which kind of makes me wonder if they aren't going to do Harding because of that reason, but it's a possibility that they just go ahead and do it. But I think for the most part, these slots aren't going to be filled by people we already know. It's going to be by people we haven't met. As for who those could be, here's just a couple guesses I have. I would guess at a Canary companion that's a mage or rogue. I can't see them doing another warrior because we already have 2 already with Iron Bull and Sten. But whoever this person is, I would vote on a Tal of Ashoth to give an interesting perspective on the Canary, and perhaps even a female. I think a male elf is going to be on the list because so far we have always had at least one male elf and they've been very popular. I think one of them is going to be associated with the Executors, and that person is going to be the one who betrays you. Probably also romanceable. I have a feeling that this might actually be Sir Aaron, as I just find him fishy for some reason, but that's just me, that could be nothing. I think one is going to be a mature, older female that won't be romanceable, but people wish that she was. This might also be Maevaris. I think one of the mages is going to have questionable alliances, but this time it's not going to be the one who betrays you. It's going to be one of the warriors, I think. This person might have ties to the ancient elves, but have given it up for some reason. That reason might be either they befriend the PC, romance the PC, or have some other relationship with an unknown NPC. So far, we have always had a Grey Warden companion. Or, well, mostly, but you get what I mean. So I think one of the empty slots will also be a Warden, which will tie us to the Warden questline and maybe even Griffins. This Warden could be Valia from the novel Last Flight, who would then fit into the mage slot, but I'm unsure. It could possibly even be Sir Aaron, who would be hiding the fact that he is a Warden, as he for some reason uses Warden armor in Heroes of Dragon Age artwork, which, if you know anything about Heroes of Dragon Age, they just have a very long list of art that just doesn't make sense within the world of the lore. It's bizarre. Anyway. Now, more importantly, out of my list, who is going to be romanceable? I'm not going to bother much with my vague guesses, but out of the hard list, if Dorian is a companion, he won't be romanceable. If May is, I can really see it going either way. She's a widow, so I think that perhaps she won't be ready for another lover, but if she is, I would bet that she's either interested in only men or both genders. Tessa, while she would make a very good female-only romance, I don't think is going to be romanceable. She's already in a relationship with Charter, and unless they have broken up by the time Dragon Age 4 starts, or the romance involves you stealing her away from Charter, I can't see it happening. Alternatively, this is going to be the first romance where you're in a polyamorous relationship, but again, I have my doubts. Marius is going to be the Cullen/Alistair romance for the game, available for females only. Sir Aaron is probably not going to be romanceable, but I do hope he is, because I think that'd be interesting. I don't really have a solid guess for who could romance him though, so I think he could go either way, perhaps being bi. Vea will be romanceable, probably going to be the male-only romance. And if Scout Harding is a companion, she would be romanceable by both genders. The story. So I'm going to start out this section saying that I have a history of being really bad at guessing what BioWare will do next in this story, but Trespasser pretty clearly set up what we should be expecting in the next game. I don't want to just sit here and pitch cool story ideas to you, so instead here's just a few small story beats that I think are possible. The player character is going to be some new hire from the Inquisition. Either this person has a personal stake in what Solus has done, or at the very least with the Inquisition, which would kind of be the same story arc as Hawk, or they're going to have some strange ability that the Inquisition needs, like the Inquisitor and the Warden. The PC can be a human, elf, dwarf, or Qunari, but while the camera for dwarves and Qunari won't be as bad as it was in Dragon Age Inquisition, people are still going to complain about how there aren't enough dialogue choices between the races. And Origins will not be making a comeback. The Inquisitor is going to make a small cameos here and there, most likely in that absolutely hideous red suit that we all hate, but for the most part is probably going to keep a distance to us until later in the game, perhaps the final level. Really, if the Inquisitor isn't there for the final confrontation with Solus, I don't know what BioWare is doing. If we do end up visiting the Wardens, we'll probably see Hawk if you chose them to go with the Wardens at the end of Here Lies the Abyss. If Hawk was left in the Fade, then it's either going to be Stroud, Loghain, or Alistair. Now granted, at the end of Trespasser, it says that Hawk came home to Kirkwall, so it is very possible if we do see the Wardens again, we're not going to be able to see Hawk. The Warden isn't going to come back. We might see a couple codex entries about them or what they're doing, but we're not going to see them in the flesh. While Solus and the Ancient Elves are going to be the main antagonists, I think there are going to be other negative forces against us. The obvious idea would be politics in Tevinter or the Qunari, although Solus does mention that the Qunari are unlikely to attack again anytime soon. Solus needs to find a way to get enough power to do what he wants. If he was able to take down the Veil now, he would have done so already. He needs to prepare for something. It might be more power, it might be allies, it might be a special item, we don't know. But our main goal is to stop him from completing whatever that goal is. Titans are going to be involved. Either Solus has to kill Titans for power, or Solus is going to try to ally with Titans to help them bond the doors back to their stone. Kalsharok is somehow aligned with the ideals of the Titan and will act in the best interest of one, at least. Volta is going to act on her own, and my guess as an opposing force to whatever side Kalsharok is on. Tevinter is going to be stuck in some sort of political turmoil that we have to solve to get help from them. Most obvious conflicts are the use of slaves in Tevinter and the treatment of elves. Solus is not going to die. The way they keep words the Trespasser choice at the end of Inquisition kind of is odd. You either stop Solus or attempt to redeem him. There is no mention of killing, because I don't think we can kill him. Look at Mythal. She was killed, but she still lives in some form. And the Inquisitor knows this. Solus even brings it up to the Inquisitor. They definitely know about it. I also don't think it's going to be possible to redeem Solus like a lot of us want. There's going to be a lot of give and take between this choice, and it's not going to be happy either way. Solus is going to stop whatever he's doing when his people are immortal and is able to live on their own once again. Depending on your choices, he already knows that the world of Thedas is very valuable and shouldn't be killed, but to him, his people are the most important thing, and I don't think we can convince him otherwise. I think the only way to redeem him will be to give him what he wants in some form, or, instead of killing him, we trap him. I think this will either be the major choice of the game, or Solus will be trapped no matter what. Despite the threat of the Elven Gods being released if the Veil comes down, I don't think they're actually going to be that much of a threat in Dragon Age 4. That seems like something for another game. The Veil needs to be either reinforced or taken down. The Veil was majorly weakened in Inquisition, and now that we know that it's man-made, there is a threat that it can come down naturally. I don't think taken down will work unless a compromise is found, so another major part of the game would try to be figuring out how to improve it without Solus. This answer might come from Titans. The executors will show up randomly with a MacGuffin or answer that we need, perhaps giving us a bad deal in order to take it. At the end, the executors will be set up to be the next major villains for some future game, once again leaving us wondering about the Canary War that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. Isabella, Liliana, Alistair, Cullen, or Tegan will make some sort of appearance, keeping with traditions of being in every game so far. Sandal won't be seen again, but instead, another reference into Codex entry. The last boss fight with Solus will have him turn into a giant wolf of some sort with a bunch of eyes. We will see griffins, perhaps even try to buy one from the Wardens. This will either be a special mount, a major plot point, or maybe even a way to just explain how we fast travel between the different nations. We will need something from the Wardens, and in order to get it, we have to somehow help them figure out what's going on over there with the Civil War. And that, dear patrons, are all of my predictions for Dragon Age 4. I did try to stick with things that I think are most certainly true, or at least how I see the series going. Do you agree with me? Do you have anything else to add? I want to see what you all are thinking, because I think it'd be a nice little place to just plop whatever you think is going to happen down there, and people from the future can come and see how wrong or right we were. Do you still have lingering questions? Proof that I'm wrong? Comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at @Gilderthon on Twitter, or send a PM to User Gillanon on Reddit. Doresh Sharal.